Valley Forge is the encampment site of the Continental Army during the winter of 1777 to 1778. The park features 3,500 acres of monuments, meadows, and woodlands commemorating the sacrifices and perseverance of the Revolutionary War generation and honoring the power of people to pull together and overcome adversity during extraordinary times. This vlog shows a tour of the Valley Forge Encampment. Valley Forge functioned as 3 of 8 winter encampments for the Continental Army's main body commanded by General George Washington during the American Revolutionary War. In September 1777, Congress fled Philadelphia to escape the British capture of the city after failing to retake Philadelphia. Washington led his 12,000-man army into winter quarters at Valley Forge, located approximately 18 miles northwest of Philadelphia. They remained there for 6 months from December 19, 1777 to June 19, 1778. At Valley Forge, the Continental Army struggled to manage a disastrous supply crisis while retraining and reorganizing their units. About 17,000 to 2,000 soldiers died from disease, possibly exacerbated by malnutrition. Valley Forge National Historic Park was established as a National Historic Site in 1976. It protects and preserves over 3,500 acres of the original encampment site. Valley Forge National Historic Park is open all year round, has no entrance fees, and welcomes around 2 million visitors each year. Valley Forge is the encampment site of the Continental Army during the winter of 1777 to 1778. The park features 3,500 acres of monuments, meadows, and woodlands commemorating the sacrifices and perseverance of the Revolutionary War generation and honoring the power of people to pull together and overcome adversity. Use my links in the description to help plan your trip to Valley Forge National Historic Park. We start the trip at Valley Forge Visitor Center. The Visitor Center is located at 1000 North Outer Line Drive in King of Prussia, PA. It's open daily from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Explore the sights, sounds, and stories of the Valley Forge Encampment during a visit to the brand new museum exhibit located at Visitor Center at Valley Forge. As you move through the exhibit, you'll discover how men, women, and children from many walks of life all struggled together during the winter of 1777 to 78, and how many persevered to ultimately overcome incredible hardships and march away from Valley Forge a stronger, more unified fighting force. The exhibit includes murals, interactive features, tactile elements, and hundreds of historical objects and artifacts from the park's museum collection, and a life-sized model of George Washington riding a horse. The exhibit was first opened on February 16, 2022. The public dedication of the museum exhibit and renovation of the Visitor Center and renovated Visitor Center building marks the completion of a 5-year project. 90-minute guided trolley tours of Valley Forge National Historic Park follow the encampment tour route and depart from the front of the visitor center. Advanced reservations are recommended. Tickets must be picked up at the encampment store gift shop at the visitor center at Valley Forge. Reserved tickets that have not been claimed are released 5 minutes prior to the scheduled tours. Please plan to arrive to the visitor center no later than 30 minutes prior to the tour's departure. Tickets are $20 per adult. Tours are at 11 a.m., 1 p.m., and 3 p.m. The encampment tour route is a 10-mile driving loop comprised of 9 major tour stops, plus opportunities to stop and explore additional monuments, statues, and locations of historical importance. Major tour stops include Muhlenberg's Brigade, National Memorial Arch, Wayne Statue, Washington's headquarters, Redoubt 3, Artillery Park, von Steuben Statue, and Washington Memorial Chapel. On a first-time visit, the route can be best experienced by vehicle. Driving the route in your own vehicle can take anywhere from 20 minutes to 2 to 3 hours to complete, depending on how often you stop and how much time you spend at each location. The route features some of the most scenic views of the park, as well as many historical sites and monuments. Follow the blue line on the park map and the green and yellow tour stops. A 60-minute CD audio tour is available for purchase in the encampment store and online. Valley Forge is full of great stories. Now hear them come to life from the convenience of your cell phone. The cell phone guide is entirely self-guided. Choose what you want to hear and where you want to hear it. Follow these simple steps to begin. 1. Choose a prompt from the tour directory. 2. Dial 484-396-1018. 3. Enter the prompt number followed by the pound sign. 4. Listen and enjoy. GoCity is transforming the way you see and experience the world's greatest destinations. With GoCity Passes, you can visit bucket list attractions, enjoy top tours, and discover plenty of hidden gems, all of which are hand-picked by local experts. Plus, you can say goodbye to multiple entry fees and paper tickets. Use my link for the GoCity All-Inclusive Philadelphia Pass. GetYourGuide is a world's leading booking platform for incredible travel experiences. GetYourGuide helps travelers find the best things to do wherever they're headed, such as a day trip to Valley Forge National Historic Park from Philadelphia. Use my links to get discounts on tours from GetYourGuide. The Muhlenberg's Brigade is the second stop on the Valley Forge Encampment Tour. It's just down the road from the Valley Forge National Historic Park Visitor Center. The Muhlenberg's Brigade tour stop gets its name from General Peter Muhlenberg's Virginia Brigade. The Army occupied this area. This was the outer line defense for the Valley Forge Encampment. Though it was wintertime and armies tend to not fight due to mobility issues and the lack of food sources, the men at Valley Forge still had to be ready for a surprise attack by the British. The outer lines of defense at Valley Forge was located on a ridge, and at the time, every tree for miles had to be cut down for building material and heating. Muhlenberg's men had a clear view for at least a mile. If the British launched an attack from Philadelphia, where they had their winter camp just 20 miles away, they would be spotted in plenty of time for the Continental soldiers to prepare for a defense. Muhlenberg's Brigade is the site of the encampment of troops led by General Peter Muhlenberg during the winter of 1777 to 78. The area today the area consists of 9 reconstructed log soldiers' huts facing a gravel company street. Nearby is a reconstructed earth redoubt, one of 5 such fortifications that help anchor the defenses of Valley Forge. The Muhlenberg's Brigade has a lot to see compared to the other stops on the Valley Forge Encampment tour. Most prominent are the log cabins that appear here and throughout the park. After the Civil War, there was a movement to preserve the historical sites from the American Revolution. In 1893, Pennsylvania established its first state park at Valley Forge, and it remained a state park until it was turned over to the National Park Service in 1976. During this time, the Pennsylvania Parks Development built log cabins based on historical and archaeological evidence that were similar to those actually used at Valley Forge. Keep in mind that there would have been between 1,000 and 2,000 cabins when the Continental Army occupied the area. Valley Forge became the fourth largest city in America at the time. All of the cabins are open for visitors to view. Inside the cabins are information panels that tell a story of how the land was so easily destroyed by the Continental Army and that no crops could be raised for the following year. Upon the Army's departure, everything from the encampment was dismantled or plowed under by the farmers as they reclaimed the land. After Valley Forge State Park was created, nearly all post-revolution farms, houses, and industrial buildings were removed. You can also clearly see the difference in the officers' quarters and the regular soldiers' quarters. The reconstructed cabins give a sense of how hard conditions were in the camp as the soldiers fought disease, starvation, and weather. 12 or more soldiers lived in each hut, sleeping in crammed bunks. The cabins were built within days of the Army's arrival in Valley Forge. It was said that Washington devised a contest to see who could build them the fastest. The United States National Memorial Arch is the third stop on the Valley Forge Encampment tour. The National Memorial Arch was erected in the early part of the 20th century on the road where the soldiers marched into Valley Forge on December 19, 1777. The monument commemorates the arrival and the sacrifices of General George Washington and the Continental Army at Valley Forge during that winter of the American Revolutionary War. The monument was designed by Paul Philip Cret, being a simplified version of the Ark of Titus in Rome, which marked the capture of Jerusalem by Emperor Titus in 70 CE. In the classical tradition, a triumphal arch of one of three openings to honor generals or emperors. This memorial arch, with its single opening, is classically proper as a national tribute to George Washington and the army he led. In 1907, the Valley Forge Park Commission developed a plan for the construction of two arches, a Washington Arch at the park entrance at the opposite side of Port Kennedy Road. These were to serve as the entrance gates, as the park was enclosed with an iron fence at the time, as well as monuments honoring the two generals and troops. The bill for the two arches was $50,000 each, was approved by the House of Representatives in March 1910, but failed in the Senate. A bill for one arch was approved in October 1910 for $100,000. Funds were appropriated in 1911, construction began in 1914, and dedication ceremonies were conducted on June 19, 1917. The Anthony Wayne Monument is the fourth stop on the Valley Forge Encampment tour. The Anthony Wayne Monument is located in a grassy area surrounded by trees and facing Wayne's home in Chester County. The bronze statue, supported by a large rectangular base of pink granite, features General Anthony Wayne on a horseback, emphasizing his role in the military. The north side of the pedestal lists many roles that Wayne filled during his lifetime. Booking.com connects millions of travelers to incredible places to stay, from homes to hotels. Booking.com is available in 43 languages and offers more than 28 million reported accommodation listings, including over 6.6 million unique places to stay. If you are looking for hotels to stay in while in King of Prussia, Booking.com is a place to look. Use my links in the description to get started. Hop on BigBus Philadelphia's sightseeing tours and take a journey through the city of brotherly love, and experience the unique history and beauty of Philadelphia from the top of one of the open-top buses. Enjoy the most spectacular views of the city while listening to the fascinating facts and fun stories about Philadelphia and the people who helped make the city what it is today. Washington's headquarters is stop number 5 on the encampment tour, and right next to the headquarters is the Valley Forge train station. The station was built in 1913 out of the same stone as the older headquarters building. It shuttled visitors to the park from Philadelphia through the 1950s, restored in 2009, and now houses a museum about George Washington and the history of Valley Forge. Also known as Isaac Potts House, this structure was used by General George Washington and his household during the 1777 and 1778 encampment of the Continental Army at Valley Forge. At the time of encampment, the house was rented by a relative of Isaac Potts and Deborah Hughes. In return, Mrs. Hughes rented the entire house along with some refurbishings to the general and his military family. The building was constructed around 1773 by the Potts family, and today much of the structure is estimated to be original to the encampment era. This building, which still stands, is one of the centerpieces of Valley Forge National Historic Park. The headquarters stands between Pennsylvania Route 23 and the Schuylkill River, near the center of Valley Forge National Historic Park. It is a 3-story stone structure with a full cellar, 3 bays wide, with a single gable roof. The main entrance is in the leftmost bay, sheltered by a gable hood. The interior is decorated with 18th century furnishings and artifacts related to George Washington. Washington's military family at Valley Forge aids-day camp like John Laurens and Alexander Hamilton, as well as both salaried and enslaved servants like Elizabeth Thompson and Hannah Till. Everyone lived and worked together in this house. The von Steuben statue is stop 8 on the encampment tour route. This bronze statue of Van Steuben overlooks the Grand Parade at Valley Forge. The monument's imposing presence is due in part to its height, with an 8.5-foot tall statue mounted on top of a 6-foot 8 inches tall granite pedestal. Despite its larger-than-life appearance, the statue is realistic, simple, elegant, and detailed without being ornate. The statue was originally located on Outer Line Drive beyond the Anthony Wayne statue, but the monument eventually moved to its current location along Route 23 on September 10, 1979. Foresyte is the premier lifestyle planning app that makes it easy to plan for travel and events with friends and family. Download today and experience a refreshing new way to collaborate with your group and financially prepare for vacations, weddings, parties, festivals, and other leisure occasions. Use my link to download the app. Washington Memorial Chapel is the 9th and final stop on the encampment tour. The chapel sits on private land and is not managed by the National Park Service. The impressive building was constructed between 1903 and 1917 and features a Gothic Revival style. The bell tower is home to a replica of the Liberty Bell, known as the Justice Bell, which was used by organizers in the early part of the 20th century in support of the women's suffrage movement. The chapel was erected in tribute of the service of George Washington and the soldiers of the Continental Army and is an active church. The church was inspired by a sermon preached by Anglican minister Reverend Dr. W. Herbert Burke, founder and first rector of the parish. The building was designed by architect Milton B. Medary. It was listed on the National Register of Historic Places on May 1st, 2017, and is undergoing active restoration campaign. The National Patriots Bell Tower was a later addition to the chapel and houses its carillon. The 102-foot tower was built entirely with funds raised by members of the National Society of the Daughters of the American Revolution over a period of more than a decade. Construction began in 1941 but was suspended due to World War II and restarted in 1949. The bell tower was completed and dedicated in 1953. Valley Forge National Historic Park is a must-visit for history buffs and people who love learning about the American Revolution. The park is located in King of Prussia, just 18 miles away from downtown Philadelphia. It would be a nice trip from Philadelphia.